Who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
On goes Moor. Speedball might yet win it here for Wolves. Flash in the shot. What a goal!
Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Wolves Fancast, part of the 90-Min Football Family Network. It's just like putting on an old pair of slippers, isn't it? Losing to Burnley at Turf Moor. Joining me today, we've got Adam, Jefoe, and Tom to talk about Wolves. I'm going to say latest defeat because it feels like it's happening all too regularly at the moment. But yeah, for anyone who didn't watch the game and has decided to tune in now to find out the result, Wolves lost 1-0 to Burnley at Turf Moor. Adam, we'll start with the starting lineup because I know you did our Forza Football one. Couple of interesting changes. We had Silva and Raul starting together, which I think was a bit of excitement, as well as Semedo and Johnny on the wings. I think everyone was kind of fairly optimistic at 1 p.m. when that came out, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I know in the football lineup I put Johnny as left wing back, but I only half expected him to actually play both Semedo and Johnny. I thought it was more of a speculative punt, really. That's how we might line up, but. You couldn't drop Johnny because he is Mr. Reliable, and I think it was Semedo he must be up to full fitness now, so he's been probably one of our better players this season. So it was natural that it's the right time for him to come back in. But yeah, the upfront situation I didn't expect. I wouldn't expect Fabio and Raul to start, to be honest. I think I just assumed he would go as standard. Raul plus the usual two either side of Hwang and Trincao. But yeah, I'm not quite sure even how it panned out because Raul, you look at some sort of lineups and Raul was either off, it was Fabio who was up front and then Raul was behind, or it was the other way around, or Fabio was off to the right hand side, the wide forward. They're kind of interchanged during the game, but I guess if Fabio was that wide right slot, it does say a lot for Trincao, Neto, Chiquinho on the bench that we're going with Fabio in that role. But I think they're kind of interchanged and switched throughout the game. But looking at it, I probably the best we could have a go at it. Really, I mean, certain midfield options picked itself and. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I'm not sure if Fabio and Raul played together before, have they, from the off?
Nah, it's the first time, isn't it? First time they played together from the start. And I think it looked like it a little bit.
Yeah. I think we'll kind of touch on to the first half in a bit, but Tom, Jefoe, were you happy with the lineup? Because I think from what I kind of picked up on social media and... Well, to be honest, my own general reaction, I was happy enough with it. It kind of, I nearly put it on social media. I nearly put it in our group chat, and I'm quite glad I didn't because I just have this that ended badly section. Was having Raul, Fabio Silva, and Hwang. I know Silva hasn't got any league goals this season, but it almost felt like that's a lineup almost designed to score goals. It was you need to just pick your three players who are most likely to score for you. You'd probably pick them on the basis of who's fit. So I was kind of optimistic going into it. I say everything else kind of made sense. But Tom, were you kind of fairly optimistic at 1:00?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have really any real complaints. I think Trincao and Hwang were so bad against Newcastle that I don't think he could play them both again. So, Neto's clearly not fit, and Chiquinho is probably not right to start. So, I think it sort of forced his hand, really. I don't think he could have played Hwang and Trincao again. So, No, I didn't have any complaints. It was, it was something different, and we needed it. I think we needed something different. Okay, great, it didn't pan out as we wanted it to, but you can't say that in hindsight. When I saw the team, I thought, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think I was championing our preview show, which is still available if people want to listen to it and work out how badly we predicted the game. But I'd have been interested to have seen that more of a 3-man midfield to see how we could have an extra body in there. That would be the only change. But see us play a bit more on the front foot, a bit more proactively on paper. I think it was definitely a good thing. And first half, I thought although we didn't create an awful lot, we looked half decent and we looked in control for vast periods of it. Particularly, I think, Adam, you mentioned Johnny, and it sort of feels like he is making up for lost time in terms of how he's playing at the moment. He's, I think, of the games he's started, he's probably been our best performer in nearly all of them, if not all of them.
Yeah, he's played himself into an undroppable position, essentially. It's like, we have to be careful with him because how he's broken down twice now. And to be honest, I did wonder when he came back in about what's going to happen when's the next time that he might break down again. But he's come back in on the unfamiliar right side when Semedo got his injury, and he's been fantastic. And now he switched over again to his more familiar left side. And the cliche was earlier, like it's like an old glove. He's just slotted right back in there again. He's been one of our better players. At the first half, it wasn't. I probably could say this for the game as a whole, but it wasn't great overall. Again, we just looked a bit, one-paced. There's a couple of good passages of play that we had. It didn't really end up with any solid attempt on goal. We just seem to be playing a bit more conservative football within ourselves. But then you look at the stats from our players, the attacking output and the goals, and we're a side. Sometimes with this side, we're flying how we're playing the last couple of games, flying in the face of where we are in the league. To be a team knocking on the door continuously for Europe, the door that will never open to Europe by the looks of it. But we just seem to be a team so devoid of any attacking output. And that just came through again in the game today. I know the other guys think, but we just seem again just devoid of any sort of ideas at all, to break down Burnley.
I think what you said, the reference that you made about Europe, I think the door's been wide open for weeks and we've just not walked bloody through it. I think we keep every single time we just choke, basically. There's no way of doing it. The door's been open and we haven't capitalised, and it's just so frustrating. It's just so frustrating.
Especially when look, 1 goal defeat today, 1 goal defeat against Newcastle, 1 goal defeat against Leeds, and they're all literally in the last 5 weeks of football, aren't they? And when you look at the wins, draws, losses, Wolves I think drawn 4 games this season. Burnley have drawn 13 or something silly. And you look at it and you're like, if we've just been able to convert a couple of these losses that we've had, and in the preview show again, we talked about those 3 games at the start of the season, where we where we lost 3 on the bounce to Leicester, Man U and Spurs. And then but these last few, something is to say, Ethan Howe just sums it up. So it's just so frustrating that the opportunities have been there, and we've just decided not to snatch them. I thought we looked all right first half. As I said, I was happy enough at half time, but we still didn't really look like scoring that much, did we, Jefoe?
No, I was a bit disappointed at half time. I just thought the tempo of the whole game was just really just flat. There was nothing. I hate to pin it all on one player, but
pin it.
The fact that
scapegoat.
I know it's not really a scapegoat more than the fact that the one person who we've needed the last 2 games has been Neves.
Yeah,
just attempt somebody to lift the tempo and control the pace of the game, because Moutinho's not got it anymore. He's not got the energy that he used to have, and Dendoncker, that just ain't his game. And we just, like I say, been flat. There's been no tempo to the games, and we just don't seem to want to move the ball around. And when we do, like we did a couple of times today, is when we looked energetic, when we look like we might create a chance, but it's just one of them. It's just, I think the squad depth just ain't quite there at the moment, and that's something that they've got to address long term.
Yeah, I think the Neves points, I think it is a key one. And, Tom, you said it after the Newcastle defeat, where, said like the difference between us and Newcastle was like a £50 million midfielder. And it's just like, for Wolves, we just can't seem to function without Neves in a team at the moment. Just like the players who come in just can't do anything comparable to what he does. It's almost like, I guess, Jimenez from a year ago, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Podence is a massive miss as well for me.
Yeah, I
think the amount of those little triangles that we play, the amount of times Neves and Podence are two out of the three triangles in the triangle. Sorry, and he carries the ball as well. Just gives us something different. Like you said, just Jefoe said about one pace. Yeah, that's true. And we don't seem to want to beat a man. How many times could you say we beat a man today? Fabio maybe tried a couple of times, but it didn't happen very often. Let's face it. And I think sometimes you need that in a team like Burnley, where they're so structured. You've got to have someone who breaks the line, does something different. Just to give you something different.
Yeah, because Jimenez did it a little bit in the first half, where like he gave the ball sort of 10 yards, and then he wouldn't quite know what to do with it. And like that was like frustrating for me. And it almost felt like he was, being asked to play in a slightly different system, and he just didn't quite know how to handle it. John Stewart says in the comments, we simply hardly create anything without Podence, and I'm pretty sure that's true. If you on the eye test, like we've found in the last couple of days, but and the stats all back that up. But I guess between having Podence and Neves out, it's been a struggle. But I think going into half time, I was happy 0-0. We're looking comfortable, but fuck me, I don't know what happened at half time, but we just decided not to show up second half. Genuinely, I think I can't quite remember. Forgive me, but when did Burnley score their offside goal? Was that after half time? The Vidra, initial Vidra one.
Yeah, it was. Went in off Cody, didn't it?
Yeah, and I remember sort of thinking, oh, that's a bit. It must have been after half time, because that needs to be our wake up call here, and just didn't happen. I genuinely don't quite know how to summarise that second half for Wolves.
I think one team wanted to win the game.
Yeah,
I think one team wanted it and one team didn't.
Yeah, they were doing
that's what it looked like to me, and I hate saying that like my team, because it's one of the worst things you can label it, but that's what it looked like to me, to be honest. That one team wanted it a lot more, and even when they scored their goal, there was even then we didn't. They looked like more likely to score, which is bizarre, and nothing at all. It was worse, if that was possible. I don't know how that's even possible.
Yeah, I think it. Just almost to a man. I say like I didn't quite know how to respond. It's similar to against Newcastle. It wasn't like Burnley were great.
It's mental that the fact that we haven't played for two weeks. Now I know that we haven't been on the training pitch for 2 weeks because the players have had a week's worth of holiday before then. But we've been on the training pitch for the last week. Burnley, I think, have had quite a few games.
Yeah, Will Martin said in a comment, they played Thursday night as well.
And we're going to a team who have just sacked the manager. They've got the under-23s and a player in charge, one of their own first-team players in charge. And they've looked more organised and better drilled and more threatening than we have at any point in the game at all. And in fact, it's a rare thing, but Burnley have actually benefited since they've put the under-23 guy in charge and Ben Mee. The fact they've now gone 3 unbeaten. But that's not. But the point being that we should be going there I mean, again, as I said before, we are where we are in the league. We're 8th, looking to get in the top 7. Burnley are fighting for their life, and they've just showed us up all over the pitch, absolutely all over the pitch, and we've not barely laid a glove on them. Not had a proper shot, and any real effort of note on the pitch. I haven't looked at the match stats, but I'd barely say our shots on target will be very, very low. I can't remember the possession stats, but I think whilst we had quite a lot of possession in the game, none of it was really in threatening positions at all. It's just a sad state of affairs, really, because again, what we said before, like there's so many opportunities. Yeah, we've just seen them all off. All these opportunities, like that game week where we played Arsenal and West Ham. We completely blew that by losing 2 in both. Where the Leeds game, which you said earlier, Rich, we just completely threw that away. Newcastle didn't turn up again today. It's just, and I get it. I get when some people say, like, oh yeah, we finished 8th, we'd have took that at the start of the season. That's a cliche that kind of, it really grates on me a little bit that this, look at, at the start of the season, we would have took this. Well, no, because look how the season panned out. Look at what we should have, look at where we should be. After all this, and amazingly, even after today, like we're still in the position where if we went down the next game, we could still go level with West Ham. So it's this never-ending, tantalising carrot in front of us. It's just not going away.
Yeah,
it's just like this tease. It's just always there. But I mean, today was just. It's something that leaves you a bit like deflated in general for the rest of your day when you see today, like how we've just not turned up in a game we'll be looking at and think, we're better than these. We are better than these. We just are better than Burnley. But the form book or the history tells us death, taxes, and lose at Burnley. Basically, that's just how it goes.
It's just so inevitable, isn't it? I was expecting it. I know I was. The only thing is as well, it's like United are on the beach and West Ham have given it that they put all their eggs in the Europa basket. So it's there, like it really is there, but we just can't make that step. And I'm sure Bruno made some fact, this team doesn't stop at 40 points, want to keep going, and unfortunately, it hasn't looked like that at all to me. No. I think the intensity's dropped massively.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I know we can sort of make excuses and reasons behind a couple of injured players and things like that, but we've had players come back as well. Like Johnny's come back, and it's coming because Smado's injured as well. To be fair, don't get me wrong, but Neto is back in the squad, and we kind of, I don't know, over the course of the season, 8th is great, but this is a team with so much more potential, and just it doesn't need an awful lot. Like but today's defeat. It could have just, if they'd have been a little bit more grittier, shall we say, this should have just been 0-0. And just, if we're not looking like scoring, which we weren't, because we don't usually look like scoring, just grind out the draw, get a point on the board, because even if it means West Ham won at the same time, or, you've still pulled a point out of it, and we just don't seem to have that backbone, that resilience anymore. Where it's like, we're getting something from the game, whereas we're still in this sort of boom or bust. But I think it's like last 9 games we've lost 6-1-3. That's bait. I was going to say that's relegation form. It's not really this season, but it's not fucking great, is it?
No, I feel like Bolly coming back into the team, although it's a good thing on paper, I don't think it's been that great because he's made mistakes against Leeds. In that game, I know quite a few people did, but there were big mistakes that led to goals. Yeah. Today I think he was probably at fault for their goal. The fact that he let the ball get across that easily, and I don't think he was a shining light at Newcastle. I don't know why he's now suddenly jumped Toti Gomez and jumped Kilman in the queue. I know Kilman's form's dropped off a bit, but I'd rather see Toti play because. He's been consistent in the games that he played this season, and Bolly really ain't been.
Yeah, he seems to have. Again, he seems to have sort of, not hit full stride in the way I guess we've seen him play in recent years as well. And I say it feels like you can hang it on a lot of players. To be honest, you say like João Moutinho's one of our best players first half of the season, and again, just without Neves next to him, he just doesn't seem to have that thrust. We know, I mean, no, we're talking players, to a sort of highlight. One for good reasons, one for bad, I guess. But we'll do the bad one first. Is Jimenez, who has kind of gone from being very inconsistent for the first 6 months of the season or whatever to now just really struggling to find that bit of magic again. It's been really tough to watch, I think, especially today.
Yeah, it's sad, but I'm starting to lose a bit of faith. That's horrible to say, but I think I am. The thing that strikes me is he's got worse as the season's gone on. Now, for me, if you've come back from that sort of serious injury, like at the start of the season, okay, the first few games he wasn't great, but then you had the Southampton game. I remember being really good against West Ham, Everton. But I couldn't say a good game he's had in the last 10.
No.
Tottenham he was okay. I don't know if he's trying too hard still. I don't know what it is. But for me, another thing is that the closer he gets to the goal, the worse he gets. He seems all right on the halfway line. His hold-up play is not bad. He had that great turn before that run in the second half, and then he got close to the goal and he absolutely ballsed it up, basically. I don't know what he was trying to do. He ran it into two men. He could have slipped someone in. He could have done anything. And then he fell over, claiming a foul. I don't think his mentality or his attitude's been anywhere near as good either. Throwing his arms up a little bit, moaning. He's had the red cards.
Yeah.
It's a bit depressing, really.
Lack of discipline is not a great thing for any footballer, in my opinion. And you say, like, his bread and butter, and I think one of the things that I sort of first noticed when he joined Wolves and started playing, like, when he'd get the ball, if he had to pick it out wide, he would do, and he'd play it off, but his immediate reaction was, I'm going to get back in between the goalposts and get as near to a goal as possible, because that's where you score goals.
Yeah, dominate that 6-yard box, and that's the thing that we ain't done.
I mean, it's a bit by numbers, isn't it? But if you've got somebody who is in between the goalposts and gets, near enough to goal, you're more likely to score. And he seems to have just got a little bit, I guess, shy and reserved of that, and having that, like great example of when he had a couple of those turns where he picked the ball up deep, took it on the turn, and thought, and he's good at carrying it forward. And what he needed to do was just play it out wide, knock it to Semedo or to Johnny on the other side, and then you just bust a gut to get in front of Tarkowski or get in front of Collins, because that's what you do. But he dilly-dallied on it. He couldn't pick a pass, and even if he did, he'd slow down. He wouldn't have progressed that run. And, I think it's going to be interesting, in the last 5 games of the season, I guess, the balance between him and Silva, because, all right, I don't think Silva was amazing, but, he didn't shy away, is how to describe it. He kept battling, even if the rewards still aren't there for him.
And the club are trying different things. I saw that he tried a new headband today. It looked like a small pirate eye patch. But that didn't work. That didn't work either. Unfortunately, I mean, I echo what Tom said. Really, I mean, it's not great to see. And Will's put there in the comments. He certainly hasn't been the same player since the Arsenal incident, and I guess that's kind of. Really, take a step back. It's kind of to be expected after such a serious injury. However, we live in a ruthless world of football, don't we? Where if you're not going to be the levels that you were, then unfortunately, as an asset to the club, you're not what you once were, or your value's not there anymore. And I think we do need to have a serious conversation in the summer, or the club will need to have a serious conversation with themselves about what we actually do with Jimenez. I'm not sure how long he's got left on his contract. So I'm probably going to say he's got 2 years left at a guess. I'm not sure on that. Someone I'm sure will correct me later on. But we all know how Fosun acts, or their mentality around what's the value of a player, and is he worth more playing for the club, or is he worth more if we sell him and get someone else in? The only problem we're going to have with that going forward is who or what club is going to be brave enough to stump up the money required to get a player who, he's carrying the baggage that he'll be carrying. He's just come off a really bad injury. He's struggling for form. Now, whether is that because of some of the players that are around him here and not providing for him? Don't know. That probably could. That's the only bit of mitigation we've got for Jimenez, to be honest, and say, is he getting the chances per game? Don't know. But when he gets these chances, as Tom said, he's not being an instinctive striker, really. He's taking the wrong options consistently, almost, it seems. And it seemed today that Fabio was doing much more work off the ball than Jimenez was. I don't know if that was part of the format, how we were set up, or whether that was in the game plan. I'm not sure, but no doubt he will have loyalty ties to us because of how the treatment he got after his injury and how well we looked after him and the support he's seen from the fans. But like I say, unfortunately, there will be some tough conversations to be had in the summer over which way we go with this. Unfortunately, it's not going to be nice. It's not going to be. I can't see it ending well. But unfortunately, we've got Jimenez, who's on 6 goals for the season. He's our top scorer, 6, and then he's partnered today with Fabio, who's got 0, as you said earlier. So
yeah, I think that there are going to have to be some very brutal conversations in the forwards office.
In the forwards office.
Forwards office. I'm assuming they share like a little, 5-person desk.
That's a small office at Wolves, that is.
Yeah. It's got a bin with like one of those.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's got like one of those bins with like a basketball hoop on, but there's just loads of paper balls just surrounding the bin at this point. But you're right, because Jimenez, we're not going to get a footballer. No Wolves players can hit double figures by the end of the season, are they?
No,
which is kind of criminal for a team who aren't in the top, who are competing for Europe. Like it borderline defies statistics, I think, in how we've kind of achieved it. But it's clearly the thing that is holding us back. And now, whether that's tactical and we're not getting players in the right positions, which I don't quite buy, just on like an eye test point of view, because apart from the last couple of games where we've been just woeful, look at those 3 early games when we were carving up chances, and they just, it seemed to be a player issue rather than a tactics issue. But, Hwang, it just has dropped off the boil since that injury. And, the signing announcement seems to be very premature now. Yes, I was going to say, literally, as the comment comes through from Paul 2011, Rich, speak about Hwang, please. Finish the entire match. I feel like all the players offer something because they should do, because that's why we're in a team. But we don't seem to, get our players in the right position sometimes.
Well, Hwang was obviously a revelation when he came in. And I don't profess any of us here, we knew too much about him when he come in. But he got 4 goals very, very quickly. Then he had the injury. And then it wasn't that long after he'd come back. He hadn't played well for a bit. We announced we'd signed him. I thought, what's the rush here? Why have we just jumped in both feet to sign him up? I mean, I don't read anywhere that we were suddenly in a battle to sign him with loads of other clubs and we had to activate the clause there and then. There's no reason for us to do that. And he's only scored 1 more goal since then. And I've always noticed just how shit his first touch is. The world's worst first touch for a player. His second touch is normally a header. Is that bad? And he hasn't offered much, if at all, going forward. And the one thing that's going for him in his favour is that Bruno really seems to like him, and he said as much on. I think I saw an interview or read an interview rather with him, and he just said that Hwang just does what he says, so he likes him. Yeah, he's well drilled in training. He just follows out what Bruno's orders are. He does work hard. We'll give him that. He's got a good work rate, but it does. I fail to see what else is contributing. So I don't know why we've jumped in, and it's 12 million was it for him? Yeah, we've agreed. I just don't. I can't see it. The best we can hope for now is an Afobe type situation where we sell him for 14, 10 days after we sign him.
Yeah, it seems an odd one. I was going to say the last player sort of I want to highlight Jose Sarr. because we talk all of this about how crap we've been up front, but genuinely, I think if it wasn't for that guy, we'd be looking at middle bottom half of the Premier League. I think this season.
Yeah,
His handling's unreal.
Yeah, he's the top goalkeeper, isn't he? He's like Ash Michael when he was at Man United. He's worth points in a season, but we just don't seem to have the players that are on his level, and other than say Neves and a few others. But it's I think Stu said it earlier that we're a mid to average team with a top 4 goalkeeper, something to that extent. I think that's probably right. I just don't think we've got the depth.
No, I think it's. I kind of always I think I've said quite a few times this season. It feels like we've got like a really good first 11, but I don't think that anymore. And I feel like we are great. We're better than some of our parts to a degree in that starting 11, but there is just a kind of really kind of strong core. When say when you've got Sarr, you've got Neves, you've got Podence, and actually Kilman for the majority of the season has been a standout player. Again, you look at his stats and he's, I think, the highest performing English centre half. And
Wingbacks are decent.
Yeah, and the wingbacks. But you're still kind of missing somebody up front and arguably one more player down the middle. And
I think
it kills you across a 38 game season if you're not careful.
I think there's a degree of stagnation as well. I think we've not really bought. We haven't bought a centre back since we were back in the Premier League, and we bought Moutinho first season in the Premier League, and Dendoncker.
Yeah.
So we haven't invested in two of the key areas and bought somebody into challenge. Now I don't say that the players are like rested on their laurels and they know they're going to play, but it's like. Sometimes you need fresh ideas. You just need fresh blood. Just somebody who's going to come in there, just challenge the status quo, especially in that midfield area. Because I think that's the thing that's been really badly highlighted in the second half of the season, because we've only got the 3 seniors, is that if one of them has a bad day or one of them gets injured, we just kind of like, okay, we'll go through the motions. Let's just play the 90 minutes. But there's no invention. There's no energy. There's no creativity or spark. And I think that's what has really annoyed a lot of fans in the last, say, a couple of years, is that we haven't invested in somebody who's got that attacking midfield sense or, dynamism, who can carry the ball, like you were saying earlier, Tom, somebody who can carry and penetrate and break the lines. It's painful to watch, really.
Yeah.
Missed a trick in January as well.
100%.
All that crap about, it's hard to sign players in January. I mean, Christ, Newcastle were bottom, were they? Or 19th? They're 9th now.
Yeah.
It's mad. Okay, we weren't going to do a Newcastle type splurge, but all that crap about you can't strengthen in January is a load of rubbish. And we really missed a trick. We got weaker. We got rid of Adama and didn't replace. Okay, Chiquinho looks half decent, but he's no Adama, is he? And I know Adama's not great, but we've weakened ourselves.
I just remember seeing some comments at the time saying like, "Oh, we trying to like make excuses for the club, saying like, oh, we should have a think about what would the player want to come and join us in January and sit on the bench, because I think at that point Neves and Moutinho were playing well. But as clearly we've shown, you lose one and then you're up slack alley, because all we've got left is just two senior midfielders. Once one gets injured or if one gets suspended, we could have gone out and paid a loan fee for get someone on loan for just the rest of the season at least, who will give us more options. Go with someone that consult all the data and find like someone who would fit that mould of an attacking midfielder, and just see if you can get someone in for the rest of the season at the very least, just to see us through, instead of what we've got now, which is just two. Sort of, as good as they are, Dendoncker and Moutinho, they're not going to be that attacking midfielder who runs forward, breaks the lines, and provides some element of service to our forward players who have very low goal returns at the moment.
Yeah, I think I was going to say I won't necessarily shift it slightly too far away from transfers because it's all interlinked, but it is the old cliche. Football's won and lost in the midfield, and a midfield of Neves and Dendoncker isn't going to consistently win your games. I know we beat Villa with that midfield and whatever, but it's a struggle, and particularly against more highly organised sides. Villa are a shit show, and I think if that's for one little piece of bit I can take from the show, it's just saying that Villa are crap. I'll take it, but you're right. We missed an opportunity to get anybody in January because you've got, for where I see it, in terms of like depth, you've got Neves, who is just like that top tier in terms of being at least a relevant Wolves player. Then you've got Neves, then Donker, and Kundal, with a great respect, is still learning his craft. And then we sent Bruno Jordao out on loan. And all right, I don't know much about Jordao, to be perfectly honest, and there's a reason he's had to come out on loan because of his injuries. But you think you're telling me we couldn't find somebody who is at least could offer something beyond Luke Kundal, who's played, less than 400 senior minutes? And
I think he's a victim of his own success, wasn't he, Bruno, in that regard? I think he was doing quite well, and I thought, well, carry on.
Yeah, and I can completely understand you don't want to change what's broken, but with a football club, there's a level of continual improvement that's always needed, that you can't just rest on your laurels. And frankly, under Fosun, Wolves have done it and got away with it through, frankly, really good coaching a lot of the time and improving players and, eking out every last little thing that they can get. But, Liverpool are my prime example when it comes to this, because they don't buy in 5 players every summer. They buy in like one player or marquee player sort of thing every either 12 months or every transfer window if they see an opportunity, who is going to replace almost their weakest elements that they're unsure about or they need to develop next. And we just haven't done that. It's in the 2 key positions in central defence and central midfield. We've barely done it in attack in terms of the centre forward, because we had Jimenez, and then we then spent 35 million on Silva, and Will Martin makes a great point. Do we give Morgan Gibbs-White a chance? And to be honest, I would, chiefly because again, you look at his goal, you look at his returns this season, and if you didn't already have him on loan, you're like, oh, a 21-year-old Englishman's got double figures for goals and assists in the Championship. You're like, yep, I'll have a bit of that. It's just whether we can give him what he needs at this point. I think but that's been a perfect loan move, frankly. Because
he's worth a chance, but only if he's played in the right position.
You've got to be played central.
Exactly.
Can't have him on the right all the time.
We've saw this before, where having him like wide right at the midfield 3. We've been here. I don't even know. It's not even up for debate anymore. It's pointless trying to anyone bring that back up. It just doesn't work there. And where's he been playing for Sheffield United all season in that midfield, hasn't he? The attacking midfielder.
Yeah, second striker type. Yeah.
There you go. So whenever we bring him back off loan, we just shunt him out on the player that's injured, which is probably the wide right midfielder.
That's the strange one, really, because if we're playing him right wing and we put him out and he's happy we're happy with him playing number 10 at Sheffield United. Yet with Ryan Giles, we pulled him away from Cardiff because they transferred him and playing because when they changed manager, they changed him to a winger. So we pulled him back and then sent him out because we were concerned about his development.
Yeah,
it's something things don't quite mesh and they don't quite make sense for what they want to do with the development of these players.
Yeah, it is struggling. I think, but with him, with Gibbs-White, I do sort of think, you know what? If he's done enough to raise his stock to a high level that there's a chance Sheffield United get promoted this season via the playoffs, and he's been an instrumental part of it. So he might potentially have an option, hypothetically. It's like, well, hang on, you've either got a path of getting back into Wolves if we fancy you here, or we sell him for 15 and we get sold for 15 million, which the club will be happy about because we paid 0 for him, and he basically funds the academy for the next 3 to 5 years. I was going to say, dragging it back to the Burnley game, which we're also fond of talking about. Any kind of key highlights? Who kind of anyone sort of stand out for yourselves?
Probably Johnny.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah. I mean, it sums it up because he's our biggest goal threat for the last month. And he's a left back who's just come back from 2 crucial injuries, and he's our biggest goal threat. It says it all, doesn't it? But he didn't put a foot wrong. I thought he was really good. And Tino was decent for 50 minutes or so. Fabio put himself about. That's probably about it, isn't it? Really, Semedo didn't look too bad.
Bolly was all right, but unfortunately for him, he was the reason they scored because he was playing. Was he Veghorst on side, and then he didn't. He kind of just opened his legs to let the cross come across to Vidra, so that was unfortunate. But there wasn't really too much. Fabio worked hard. I think I've sort of read online. There was some boos when Fabio come off. Didn't deserve to come off.
I can't remember who in the group chat was very infuriated that Silva came off. Yes, Jefoe. I was going to say I can't remember who, but someone went full caps locks in the chat on it.
I was rather frustrated. He seemed to be the only one who was going to do anything today. And I think what the YouTube comment earlier that was said about Hwang playing the 4 minutes, I think that was criminal. I think I don't normally like blaming Lager because the tools that he's got are not really his. But when he makes a mistake to leave a player like that on, him and Jimenez, Hwang and Jimenez, who've not done well this game, and they've made no impact on that game at all, and take off a lad who's actually doing something, I can't defend him. I can't defend him keeping players on who've made no impact. I think he's messed up, and there's people who are posting stuff that are stupid on the internet about Lager, but I mean he's done a great job on it. But today, mistakes.
Look, it was interesting. They booed what obviously was the decision. But if you look at, I think Trincao on the side, he starts clapping him because he thinks that they're booing Fabio. But then the fans started chanting Fabio's name when he was walking back to the dugout, which I thought was quite a good touch. I think just play him now. I think just play him. Why not?
Yeah, it's got the old chicken and egg, isn't it? He's like, we want him to develop, but the only way he'll develop is by playing, and we're not going to loan him out. We're not going to send him on loan now, like 2 seasons in. After what we paid for him, he's not going to spend his 3rd season on loan at Grasshoppers or a Championship loan or anything like that. He will play for us. He'll stay in our first team squad, but he's got to actually get proper minutes. Now, his career's kind of been like the mirror image of probably what it should have been. He should have had this type of season last year, but obviously because of Jimenez, he was thrust into the starting lineup. So he played a lot more in his first year than he has last year. But it's kind of got the wrong way, isn't it? So he got a few goals last year, played a lot more minutes, but now he's going the opposite way. So how is he going to develop by only getting, this season, he's been mostly like 10, 15 minutes a game? He just needs to play. That's where our stock, that's where our money, our investment's been put. We just need to see him just start. As time to get him started. Starting for the rest of the season now. He won't drop Raul though, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I didn't know he's going to find a way to have them both playing together at the same time. But obviously, work out better than how he did today.
Well, that could put a fire under Raul's backside, couldn't it? If he dropped him, because there's never been a period in his Wolves career where he's been fit and not played.
Yeah.
True.
So it might be just that little bit of spark, just to say, okay, you're not as indispensable as he maybe thinks. Just. And give the other chance, and let him be an impact sub, and see if he can, find that fire that he needed when he first came into the club when he wasn't playing at Benfica, and he's fighting to play and stay in that team and stay up front for us. I think maybe that's what we need to do, is to try and some of these players who maybe think they're undroppable, just put them back on the bench, just a couple of games, just to start to get some of that energy and fire back in the team.
Yeah, because I think especially at the moment, it's not like Jimenez is offering an awful lot. It's not like he's giving it a bit, and we've sort of shown him the 2 games when Jimenez was suspended, but Fabio's trying and definitely got something about him, and has been unlucky not to get on the score sheet this season. Right, I'm going to move it along from the game because, well, I'm going to start pulling my hair out, to be honest. So I've got the questions from Twitter Corner. We've kind of already covered, to be honest, lads. And if not, it's very much angry questions. So I've got a silly one on here, and I've also got one from my own annals of mind. But we'll go for one from friend of Fancast Todd, who lives over. He's not Colorado Todd anymore. I believe he is now Minnesota. But anyway, not the point. So he said, a few of us Wolves fans have been getting together to watch matches, and we're trying to decide the best way to celebrate a Wolves goal if it happens. Any suggestions? So I'm thinking, like, basically, what's the etiquette of celebrating a Wolves goal? I'm assuming like on telly because he's stateside.
Top off, swirl it around your head.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That's a classic. That cannot be beaten. That can't be beaten. Or the Ravanelli. That's a classic. Shirt over the face.
Yeah, I remember that. Not a fan of, and again, I think it's only been more in recent years for sort of the throwing up of beer.
That's a waste. That is. What?
Yeah, I don't think that's needed. Like, I'm happy when Wolves score, but not to the extent where they ruin a pint. You know,
there's no need for that. No need for throwing. So I mean, see people do with practically a full pint as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the London bars, where they're about £8 a pint as well. Bloody hell.
Exactly. I mean, that's the wrong reason why drinking at your seat will never come in over here.
Yeah.
You don't want to pay. I don't know how much Carling is in the South Bank, but imagine paying like nearly £5 for a Carling just to throw it sky high. Well, if you have a score.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I feel like your celebration needs to match the occasion and the atmosphere. So, you're scoring like goal number 4, then maybe doing a Rivaldo top off to reveal the vest, not needed. If you're in the pub full of people and it's a last minute winner, then I feel like it might require like a different level of celebration. I think it's difficult because I'm guessing if we ever watch Wolves games down the pub, it's usually all with other Wolves fans, isn't it? Where I'm guessing Todd watching it in Minnesota or Colorado or wherever, it's probably going to be a little bit more of a varied crowd who are probably either watch other teams or even other more popular sports as well. So however much I'd love him to give it the big one, would his
do we have a Minnesota Wolves?
I think we do. Yeah, I think I've seen it before on when they do the club thing roundup. But I can imagine Rich doing a knee slide the full length of the bar. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think. Are we talking on the bar itself?
I mean, if you want to do it on the bar,
or are we talking like on the ground? Because I think I'm happy doing either. I'm thinking practically maybe actually on the bar itself makes sense because it's usually going to be fairly slippery, isn't it?
I mean, it sounds like you've thought about this already.
So I'm thinking of it very quickly. I'm also thinking of a way like maybe if we had like a Jaeger train one side, me sliding over, and like as I'm going, I can just like flick him down. It would take a lot of prep. Like, actually, you know what? It could work. Hear me out. If you get a penalty and it needs to go to VAR, so you're like pretty sure it's going to be a penalty. So the bar staff can start lining up the Jaegers. And then we just got to hope that we'll score. And then I can go into it. So I think, Todd, we've got plenty of suggestions for you. Personally, I am going towards knee slide on the bar. My question for you three gentlemen is, though, what are there more of in the world? Doors or wheels?
Yeah. I'm team wheels, I think.
Team doors.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, conflict. This is what I needed.
I've never thought about it.
You've heard it
Well-
before, though. I could tell by your apathy by being asked the question.
Oh yeah.
Wheels.
So
There's
many-
wheels on everything.
When you think of how many offices there are up and down the country, and there's a lot of doors in there. I know there's probably wheels on some of the desks as well, but there's definitely going to be a shit ton of doors in like office blocks and whatever, and on cars.
But there's
as well.
wheels on all drawers.
And I think it's like sounds silly, but
There's
what
no-
we
there's
class
loads of wheels
as
on
doors-
cars.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Tom's frozen mid
It's like,
explanation. there.
yeah, I've had this debate a few times. But yeah, too many times. I don't know. It's just wheels on everything. Cheese wheels.
Oh yeah, I never thought of cheese wheels.
I had to pull that one out on a debate on this the other day. That's when I was getting really desperate.
Well, to be fair, I think
don't
if
know
you
who
like, but do you class like cupboard doors?
Oh yeah. You got her in you.
Got it?
I don't know who said in.
Yeah,
Somebody said in the
doors
group
of
chat about
opportunity.
doors of opportunity. It was like,
Yeah.
that is grasping.
Zero.
The door into your soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we've all got a door to our soul, that's 7 billion doors straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm veering towards wheels, but only because I'm next to my daughter's play trolley. So I'm like, well, hang on, that's just like a random ass toy in my house which has got 4 wheels. But then, like, she could have like a toy car.
Mm.
Do you know, like those big the plastic ones you have outside?
The doll's house.
Doll's house, yeah. Although
Cars
the door doesn't really work on her doll's house. It's kind of more. I think it's actually sealed shut, so you can open it. So do you count it? I don't know. Do you count? Are we classing anything with a hinge? I don't know. I'm still undecided. Basically, I was hoping
car's
between...
a difficult one because the car's got 4 wheels and maybe a spare, and then you got four doors and then the boot because the boot technically.
I was going to say you class a boot as a door.
So it's
You know.
that's 5 straight there.
Yeah, so cars cancel each other out. However, lorries, motorbikes, you know, bicycles. However many bicycles there are in Beijing, according to Katie Mellier. You know, we again, I'm feeling I'm more towards Team Wheels. But you know what? Let us know in the Facebook comments. But I think that's where we're going to wrap up the show today, and hopefully, you know, we can have these discussions internally, guys. See if you can work out what you think. I might do a Twitter poll tomorrow, to be honest, guys, to see if we can actually, work it out, because I'm keen to see what the general consensus is amongst our fellow Fancastians. But, guys, that's it for today's episode. Thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for not hopefully getting too angry at the Wolves. We will improve at some point. Hopefully we'll improve against Brighton. We'll be back to preview that show midweek, and keep up to date with all things social media at Wolves Fancast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Also, shout out as always to our sponsors, Pixel Yeti Media, and big thanks to 90 Min Football Network as well. Until next time, it's goodbye from Jefoe.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Adam.
Keep the faith.
And it's goodbye from Tom.
Bye, Wolves fans.
See you next time.